started live, and I think you just have to wait. Hopefully that preview popped. It's laggy. The preview should pop up.
It's gonna have like a 10 or 15 second lag.
And see, mine just popped. Mine popped up, so it's in there.
Oh. All right, go live.
Go live.
It's live.
And it's a little laggy on there, so don't pay attention to that, or you'll be like,
no.
You'll be like, what?
Don't worry about that.
I just hope that's
static. If I say something really funny or make like a thing, I just want to watch again.
That's right. It's like the instant replay. You can look over it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Just enjoying the music. Oh, I hope nobody hears that static. If anybody's listening, I don't know where that started from. This horrible static in the. Trevor doesn't hear it, but I do. But anyway, here we are.
All right.
Broadcasting through the universe with our soothing music on our new Ask a Boudoir Photographer show. And today we have some questions that are more specific to Bridal Boudoir, just a few. So we're going to be answering some questions, and I was telling Trevor just before we get on, we think everybody knows what's going on in the world of like boudoir photography on both ends. I'm talking about photographers as well as people, and that's far from the truth. And I was just noting that I got just an email about a week or so from a woman, and like this hysterical sounding, I'm new, I have no idea what I'm doing, and do you sell pose books, and I need help, and I have people, I don't know how to use a camera, and I don't know how to do anything, and I need poses by beds and poses by chairs and poses by this, and this whole thing is going on and on and on. And my point was, like, really, do you think this is a good situation for someone to get mixed up with this person? Obviously they don't know what they're doing. So talk a little bit about this more, but just don't assume because someone says they are a pro photographer means that they really have any idea what they're doing. And really the point of this is, I always say, is to ask a lot of questions to photographers. Don't assume. And I always use the example of like kitchen nightmares where, people go in for an instant chicken parmesan. Little do they know what's going on in that kitchen with moldy food and chaos and people screaming and vomiting and, so don't ever assume that just because someone calls themselves any type of photographer, let alone like a boudoir photographer, is that they know or everything is going to be the way that you want it to be. Any feedback on that? So just always ask. And today what we're going to do is just get into a few simple questions that I get all the time, kind of common questions. We're going to run through them. Trevor's going to give his input, much smarter than I am. And we'll get rolling. So it's bridal boudoir season. And I don't know about you, but
up on that, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's I can't believe it.
Spring is in the air.
Yeah, it's March already. Right, so we're late, if anything. It's like, because for me, anyway, spring is like you get that hit of women getting married, March, April, May-ish, and then Christmas is very busy around Christmas for me. So this is one of the peak seasons. So you get hammered now, a little quieter in the summer, and then in the fall going into Christmas again, it's like gangbusters with people coming in. So figured to answer some questions have to do with the spring wedding season, people getting ready, a lot of people getting married. Now I just have to get into this gizmo to bring up our first question. I have to take your name off to put up the first question.
Okay.
So sorry about that. So, and this is common, first question, something that I get all the time, and unfortunately usually I'll get contacted by someone, I'm getting married next week, it's too late.
Yeah, I get a lot of that.
So what are your experiences as far as timing, or and the question of course is how far ahead should I book my session? So I'll let you talk on this topic.
I've kind of got like a blanket 4 to 5 weeks is like my minimum that I want people to book for. I'm pretty good with turning stuff around same day, like as far as showing them the images. So that kind of trims off a little bit of time. But when you figure you've got about 3 weeks of production for most printed products, I want to have like 2 weeks of wiggle room. So if y'all are thinking about doing a session where there's any kind of due date, how's about we start thinking about 4 to 5 weeks in advance and saying that would be your minimum. Like, you know you're getting married, then you probably have a date set out. So let's just work backwards from that. On top of that, I also want to have this done and like shot into production, even if there is, not that I've ever really had any problems with production, but if there was to be one, I want to have a way to make sure I still guarantee this product reaches you in time. So,
and I think the big thing that I run into is that women, whoever's getting married, they don't realize that the photo session is actually just a real short part of the entire process. Yeah. And when you're talking to someone who contacts you a week, 10 days before they're getting married, not only the scheduling, there's no way I can schedule somebody within 3 or 4 days and get everything arranged, but after a session is completed, there's, like you said, editing process, and then the printing and the binding and the reviewing and people going through everything, which takes, you can rush through it, and unfortunately I have, but they always give you that look, oh yeah, I never thought about that part. And also what has happened, COVID year was nothing. No one was getting married. Then after 2021 or so, like 3 times the amount of people were getting married. Yeah. And then you could get like very busy. And then also what makes me feel bad is sometimes people contact you short notice and there's just no room. There just isn't, like I got a couple people. I can't really fit anybody else in that short of a time frame.
Yeah, I've had to turn away. I mean, I turn away all sorts of people because, like, I'm usually booked 2 and 3 months in advance. And although I have kind of like little bits of wiggle room, occasionally I just cannot. If I've already kind of taken one extra person on that week, and I'm kind of like slam booked, I can't fit anybody else.
Right? And logistically, you're not doing the person a favor if you can't. Even though you want to help somebody get that done and completed in time,
Yeah.
So
because like sometimes a week means everything
with
regards to timing on this
and shipping.
Also, like even just planning ahead, making sure that you're not rushing yourself to get everything ready. Because I do a lot of pre-planning with a lot of my clients. Like I send them out shopping, I give them prep guides and wardrobe guides, and I don't want you doing this in like a week. That's just too compressed a timeline anyway. So also, like, you don't want to be like stressed. Like,
right.
Because first of all, you're getting married, you're stressed out enough, because even if you have a wedding planner, let's be real, planning or being involved in a wedding is like having another part-time job. And the last thing you want is, and this is always what happens, and wedding photographers out there, you're totally going to understand this statement. The photographers are the last person you care about. You have to deliver all the goods, but they always get the least amount of time.
Right, on the list, yeah.
But yeah, when you screw up, it's like
you're the worst enemy. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to be part of your stress, and so if you just plan like just a little bit further ahead, makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and I always tell people 2 to 3 months, and even earlier. There's no problem. Now, the one thing I run into sometimes, though, is I'll do people months and months, 6, 8 months ahead of time, and then there comes an issue where sometimes people are afraid that if you're shipping out an album or something, it's laying around and it's going to get discovered. Like it's going to be sitting around and the surprise will be ruined. So if someone wants to come in really early, I would say, we do 85% of the work. We just don't ship out the album. Hold on to that, maybe till we get a little bit closer, and then that way it's not hanging around. And
I just set myself 12 reminders so that I cannot miss the date. And like that way, I've done that on many occasions, and on some rare occasions, I've also had the album shipped to me, and then the customer would have to pick
or to a friend, or this packages get intercepted, not on purpose, but UPS shows up, and
it's just better to just if I know that we can have it done, and you're not going to blow the speaker if it gets to you like 2 or 3 days earlier. You could do it. You could do it. I know you want to show them. I know you want to show your partner.
It's exciting. Yeah, it's hard to keep that. It's hard to keep that a secret.
I've had so many clients like open up their bridal albums after they get it, and they're just like, "Oh my god, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good." And then they message me after. It's like, I couldn't even wait until the wedding day.
Happens.
I had to show them the second I got it.
And women feel guilty, you know, and then I'm like, you are not the first person that.
Yeah, but that also makes me feel amazing, because that just means they love the images.
Right.
And let's be honest, Bridal Boudoir, it's kind of like the catalyst to do it is to do it for your partner. But in the reality, it's like also like mostly for you. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the fact that they feel so good, they just want to share that with their partner, makes me happy.
Yeah, it's fun. It's one of my favorite, because it's a lot of excitement going in doing those sessions. And I like them, not as much as used to, but bridal lingerie, people who bring veils, and we do pictures that you don't usually do, maybe for some other type of session. So I've
found over the last few years, veils have become not like a big part of the bridal boudoir thing. Like, people don't even want to wear white lingerie.
No, like I said, it's less than.
Yeah, it's it's just like it's almost no different than a regular session in a lot of ways. But they just say, we don't need the veil, we don't need the white lingerie. I don't even
some people do
wear any of that on my wedding day. And then you've got like this small sliver of people
very traditional
that do that. And but I love the fact that people are putting the effort into making this more personalized for either themselves or for their partner, because their partner's not like, if they're, let's just say their partner found them really sexy and like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of the most ridiculous thing. Okay, so like, you know, like a black tank top that's all beat up, and it's like his shirt, and she wears around the house, her side boob going on, and it's just, and like a cute pair of undies, and like, that's the sexiest thing in the world to him, well, shoot that. Yeah. And if the sexiest thing in the world to you is like something else, well, shoot that. And
something comfortable and familiar.
I really do try to encourage people with all of my shoots to really try to just make it personal. Think about what you like, or what your partner likes, or what both of you like, and do it that way.
And that's also, I think, why you need time, because I find that people rushing don't have the time to either buy things or get things together, or they forget stuff. They're in such a...
That's actually another good reason of why you should book ahead, because I know with Prime, sometimes you get it the next day, but sometimes you got to return because of sizes. Sometimes you're ordering from somewhere, hopefully, other than Amazon.
I was going to say, don't order from Amazon.
And I'm not... I hate Amazon.
Those little white bags started showing up in my sessions like 5-6 years ago with ill-fitting things that stick out, and I was like, that's not a memory of a lifetime you want to have, is some ill-fitting like piece of so. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt your.
It's so true. No, but it's true. Like,
it takes time.
Just having that wiggle room just it lowers your stress level, and you're not like, oh my god, the session's happening on Saturday, and I might get the package on Friday.
Right, and
that's the worst feeling. So
it is.
Book ahead. You can prepayment plan with me. You can space out the payments, because that's the one other really important thing, at least in my case, because the way I do it is like people can kind of prepay a good chunk of what the order might be, so that way they don't have to do a post-payment thing, because then you run into problems of like, well, I really want all this, I can't pay it all at once, so now what do? Do I like it just creates all kinds of
problems,
nonsense. So I mean, if you do the shoot earlier, you could potentially do a longer payment period after, or if you booked earlier, you could prepay up to that faster, and then if you had more space after, you can also break the payments down more. So like, it just levels everything out, so it makes it easier.
That's a really good point, and I never thought about that payment part, and I think that's something that may not be obvious to a lot of people coming in, and I do that as well, because let's face it, not everybody has a big chunk of money to put down all at one time. So giving yourself those several months or more, I have no issue with. Software now creates payments. You could spread that out and do whatever someone wants before or after, before anything is delivered.
Exactly.
And that also helps you make that easier to handle in terms of money.
So many times, like, when people are on like a really tight deadline, they sometimes have to settle for like the thing they like but they don't love.
Mm-hmm.
And giving yourself just that extra little bit of flexibility is great. I also just wanted to like point over, like I just looked at like some of the people who've joined, so I'm like, hey, Steph and Jen. And
no, shout them out.
I'm seeing so many people in the chat thing. I just keep looking over and it's like somebody has so joined. And
yeah,
like, I'm just seeing them right at the moment. So I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody, but hey,
a lot of people in there, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know whether they're you or me or both or whatever.
I don't know if it combines them or not, but yeah, the timing and the payment thing, and it's something that's, like I said, that's not obvious, but a lot of photographers, I guess, do payments, spread that out. So the more time, the more ability you have to, spread that out and get a larger album or do whatever you want to do for.
And I just want to make one other point. We're talking about bridal boudoir, but this goes especially for your anniversary, for a birthday, for Christmas, for whatever. Like anytime there's a due date in mind, 2 to 3 months or earlier is
there you go.
Like the ideal time.
That's right. If Trevor said it must be true.
Yeah.
How about that? I hope he didn't get mad at my little graphic. That's what I usually say. So we're in alignment on that. But
I mean, like I can do a minimum of 5 weeks, but that's like that's pushing it. But I'd much rather be the 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. And what people, as we talk about, and then we'll move on here, is don't realize that. And how many times do you get less than a month, or I've had 10 days, 2 weeks notice? Because it's and sometimes it's just, but the last minute thing, we want to try to do this, and generally it's not going to work out. So stick with those 2 to 3 months. And
and it goes to your other point, like you're going to probably allude to later, but like, if you're booking a fairly reputable, established quality photographer, they're not going to necessarily have last minute openings.
Right.
They might, like you occasionally get rebooks and stuff, which for me is extremely rare, but like a lot of people are booked months in advance.
Right.
So you've got to look ahead of time. Otherwise you're going to be potentially settling for
second or third or fourth choice. Yeah. And this is good segue, goes into our next question. And, this is something that I deal with all the time and get into this, and it has to do with the way that people shop, which is poorly. Not to make fun of anybody watching, but you're a bad shopper. And there's this common belief out there through just my unscientific survey of people I've been with that all photographers are the same. Everybody's the same. So isn't it just easier for me coming in for my wedding session, just line them all up, whoever's the lowest price, boom, that's the winner.
Well, I will never win in that category.
But even aside from that, it just goes to this larger, like I said, construct that people think, if one person the only thing differentiating photographers is price. And what they're saying is, why would I choose you when I can find somebody for, and I always use the example with people. I said, okay. I said, all right, so let's say you were looking to buy a home. And I have 2 homes, and one is $150,000, the other is $225,000, and that's all I'm going to tell you, which is the better deal. And that's not enough information to make you know what 2 prices are, but you don't know. One house may be on a lake, one may be brand new, one may be dilapidated. You don't know. There's not enough information to make that decision. And what people, I think, don't realize is, I again use the example of restaurants. Nobody would ever say all restaurants are the same. You have Taco Bell, and then you have 5-star dining restaurants, and you would clearly know what to expect in one, you wouldn't get in the other. But people just don't have that same level of understanding when it comes to photographers, and that's why I think it's just difficult.
Oh, it's definitely something I have to. I've been working on a lot to really, like with the marketing, with the branding, with everything I'm communicating to people. I need to communicate value, not price, because there's a big difference, as you said, between somebody who is the lowest price and somebody who charges more, like myself. I'm a luxury service, and I've done everything I can to make the experience at my studio the best it can possibly be, from including hair and makeup from some of the best makeup artists out there, to all the planning and prep guides that you get, the pre-shoot wardrobe consult / vision call, the way that the images are retouched. My studio is like, I'm at home in the home office right now, but like, I wish I could show you the space. Like, it's 1,800 square feet with 6 different sets with a lot of ornate furniture. And like, it's not like just a place you go out and you can shoot at. Like, it's not like the living room of someone's house or a bedroom in someone's house. It's a lot more than that. So like, not only do I allow people to get incredible variety of images and depth of images, but my color palette is like, there's no white in the studio.
Oh, and I know you change a lot. You're always changing I
have to, because I get bored.
Yeah.
Swinging hammers and cutting wood, and it's fun. And so I do that.
Yeah, and this is something, though, that's hard for people to understand what goes on, because they're looking at a number. And again, I don't really have numbers. I was never one to put numbers on my website. I guess people assume, but,
Thanks, Steph, by the way.
People are looking at a bottom line, and we know that there's all different kinds of photo products. There's custom handmade albums down to little plasticky mass-produced things, and if it's what goes on sort of behind the scenes. So don't always just look at a price and think, the lowest price is the winner. And another, which is another one of our slides down here too, is that I always found, and this is not mean to be mean, but cheap photographers aren't necessarily going to be very good, and good photographers aren't necessarily going to be very cheap. And this is something that you don't do all the time. You think of it as a vacation, something you want to do the right way. Save up, even if it takes you a while longer. Do it because you'll enjoy the experience and the photos for a long time. And I've heard the horror stories, and I'm sure you have as well, for people who try to cut corners. I literally have heard people come in and, I originally went to X, Y, or Z just because I saw, they don't have Groupon anymore, but back when there was like Groupon and people, for $50, I would get a session people just, but it's really, people were, and this is always something that is difficult, like I said, and I always try to get this across to people, but they think everything's the same. They think it's like buying the same model Sony TV when you're looking at Best Buy or Walmart or Amazon, like everything, and you're just shopping for the lowest price. But photography doesn't work that way. Like, so it's
many different things that are kind of artistic or artisanal in nature are something you can literally go like Apple and Apple. Like a TV, for example. Like, you can look at a model of a TV and it could be the same model at one place and the same model at another. Yes, that's the same product, but you're right, with anything in our genre,
it's not.
And also, thanks so much, Krista. I love you too. So
getting the positive feedback.
It's always just like I'm just glowing right now. I love it. My fangirls are friggin' amazing.
Good for you.
I love them.
I'm glad you got it connected.
Yeah,
so
I like me going out live. I never go out live. Because I always forget. I should do it all the time, but I don't. And then when I do, sometimes technology works against me.
Yeah, like I said,
audio, for example.
Right? Yeah, or my crackling. You don't know. Hopefully, you're not hearing that. I'm getting this static crackling in my ears, but Trevor doesn't hear it, so I hope people it just started. So. But it's fun to do, and it's good to get this information out there. And because I've been doing this a long time, you've been doing this like a long time.
11 years.
It's a long time to be taking pictures of.
Bloody time.
And
like I opened up February 23rd or 13th. I forget what the exact date was of 2013. Like, I was saying to somebody, I've been doing this for 10 years, and then I was like, wait a minute, I was doing this for 10 years a year.
That sounds,
Is it shit? Okay, yeah.
That's all right. Well,
wow.
Yeah, I got you by a little bit, but not much. Yeah. But it's interesting though, as you go, you get to see everything, the amount of information, talk to people, you just learn a lot about, and it really is people don't know, it's a lot of knowledge that you kind of gain over that time. And you can help people, because in this business, like I said, it's not as straightforward as it seems to women shopping for photography. So I am always very happy to answer questions or talk to people, because I heard this, and I don't want anybody to wind up in situations with bad photographers, and unfortunately it happens a lot.
It does. And I mean, like one of the other things you just alluded to is like, you know, the experience side, and that's one of the other things that price can't quantify, because working with different body shapes and like just like things that I hear horror stories about, like if you have a rather slender figure, most people can probably photograph that. It's when you're not, I don't want to, I always feel very awkward saying this, because like I don't want to offend anybody, but like, you know, when your body is different than what the mannequin looks like, we'll say that, right? You know, like you can have somebody really break your confidence if they don't shoot that right, if they don't highlight all those best features and show you all the good that is in every body, because I am such a strong believer that every body is a boudoir body. There is no right shape for this. And you know, like you see it in some of the boudoir groups that you and I are probably part of, and you just see some of the new photographers like, oh my God, I have a client that looks like XYZ, and they're like, help, send me inspiration. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh man, that sounds like just a recipe for disaster waiting to happen. And I mean, I really hope that they do a great job for that person, but at the same time, these are the things that you need to look for. And I mean, the one piece of advice I would always give every prospective person, whether you're looking for bridal boudoir or anything, look at the portfolio and see if there are different ethnicities, different ages, and different body shapes in the portfolio. Not like one or two only. Like make sure it's an entire, everybody is incorporated here. Because that is probably your best bet to know you're getting somebody who really knows what they're doing. If you can see that variety. If you can't see that variety and everybody looks like some really slender model, that might be all they shoot. They might just have a portfolio of models, right? And then they don't know how to work with other body shapes.
It takes practice.
It does. And I mean, I take so much for granted what I know. Like I had a friend in, we were doing a creative like a couple days ago, and I mean, I'm talking to her and I'm giving her tips, and she's like, God damn, I've been modeling for like how long, and I didn't know that. And I'm just like, wow, I guess, yeah. Like it's second nature to me, and it's probably second nature to you, and it's, but
you don't even think about it after a while. You know, at first it was a little frightening because you're like, okay, what do I do here? But to me, it's always been like a challenge. And now I don't, you never know who's going to come walking in the door, but you just learn. And it's one of those things that takes experience and time, and, you know, how to work with different people and different.
I love making every human feel like they're absolutely the rock star for the day. And, you know, when they leave the studio, all they want to do is just go brag to all their friends, like,
this is fun.
I did. And then they walk down the hall and they're fist pumping themselves. I love that feeling. It's never going to get old.
To sum up this question, though, as far as lining people, and I always tell people, use your wedding mindset when you're shopping. And what I mean by that is kind of noted earlier, when you were going out and trying to find your venue or whatever you're doing, you didn't like, again, to use the Taco Bell analogy, like the catering, and you didn't go, yeah, we're Taco Bell for my wedding because it's only $2. You know, the wedding venue is charging $80-something a person. That's a ripoff. So I'm going with the $2. You didn't do that. You went because it's an experience. How often you're getting married? It's about, you know, spending time with people and having a great time. And in some situations, the lowest price shouldn't always be the sole determining factor of your choice. And in coming in and doing photos like this, it's just one of those occasions you have to train yourself to shop using your vacation or your wedding mindset. And it's about the experience, not about finding a deal, which aren't often deals. They're usually red flags when you see that.
Except my Black Friday sale. That's always good.
Well, no, hey, no.
But yeah, you know, you're totally right. Can you just imagine the wedding catered by Taco Bell? No disrespect to Taco Bell.
It was the cheapest.
Well, no,
it was the cheapest. Why would anybody go to anywhere else to eat? I haven't even know how these other restaurants can stay in existence. It's a ripoff.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Well,
but
boy,
people think that way.
I don't want to be at that wedding.
No. But that's how people. It's funny how they're trained to shop in certain and grocery store, find the lowest price, and that's the winner, which doesn't work out in every situation. Counting what we do, it's a real bad way to shop. And moving on to our next question, again, something I have heard a lot more. You know, talking to somebody, and it's like, you know, why should I choose you? You know, woman I work with as a friend, and about 2 weeks ago, she, was out there on Instagram showing her MLM every day. Girl power, get ready, girl power. And that didn't quite work out, the way that she wanted. And people tend to wake up one morning and inspired that they're going to change the world. I'm changing lives. And then 2 weeks ago, they're an MLM boss babe, and now they're a pro photographer. So, my friends really want me to go with the MLM girl because she's brand new. She doesn't know nothing about photography. But, all photographers are the same, aren't they? So,
well, let's look at this couple ways. One, if you took our first piece of advice and booked that person far enough in advance, when the images don't quite come out to the way you really wanted them, you'll still
have a second chance.
So that's good. That's another reason to book in advance. But, but yeah, everybody has to start somewhere as a photographer. And
right.
I certainly don't want to poop on people who are just starting out. And that's the risk you take as a consumer. Because certain people are going to be more budget conscious than others. And that's okay. I fully understand that my price point doesn't fit everybody's pocketbook. And I would love to be able to photograph everybody, but it costs a lot to be a luxury service. I don't get the ability to do stuff for free or very low cost. Or even things like the albums, with handmade stuff, it costs money, right? So
it's expensive. Yeah.
There's for some people, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? If that MLM friend is your only option, that's fine. But if you need the advice that we're trying to give, which is plan for this and maybe save up and maybe spread out payments, although we may cost more, the results are most likely going to be much, much better. The experience will be more polished. And I want people to walk away from any of these things just going, not only I made a great gift for my future partner, but you have this newfound confidence and you have this great experience. And it is that. And it's just all the stuff leading up to this. And I always try to tell people the boudoir experience is what you're really paying for. The photos are the byproduct, and they just help you remember that experience for the rest of your life until you book the next one and the next one.
Because you got to go back. It was fun.
Yeah, I know. Right. This is very addictive, and I'm looking at you and you Steph, and
looking at your
and you Jen, all of you, the people I'm seeing in my little screen over on this side here. I'm seeing them.
Just sort of like an aside or kind of a tangent to this is. And you noted that everyone has to start somewhere. And I don't know about you, but I'll hear from people once in a while looking to start boudoir businesses and so forth who know nothing about photography. Mm-hmm. And see, I started weird. I never wanted to get into a business. It was never my intention. It was more about just learning how to take photos for me more than anything else. But I always say to somebody no, don't start a business. Learn first how to take a picture. If you woke up one morning and decided you were going to be a professional guitar player, run down to Guitar Center and I want the Eddie Van Halen model, doesn't mean you know anything about playing a guitar. And it's not like you go online and suddenly advertise yourself as a pro guitar player. If you said that to me, I'd be like, Trevor, that's the silliest thing I ever heard. You know nothing about playing a guitar. But that's what people do every day in this business. They just go on Amazon, buy a camera, know nothing about, and it's not even just about taking a picture. It's just about there's a lot more to it, the editing and all the stuff like that, which takes, depending on, it could take a long time. Like, how long would it take you to learn how to play a guitar? Good, a year or more practicing in your bedroom before you would ever like try to go get a gig at a coffee shop or something. You need to have some,
find a street corner.
Right. And then this is just that lack of self-awareness that people who start think, oh yeah, I'm just going to start tomorrow and want people to come in. And first of all, the photographer doesn't know what they're doing. And then number two is the customer doesn't know that the photographer doesn't know what they're doing. And then they'll often walk away with very underwhelming kind of experiences. And I think that may hurt everyone thinking these people don't know what they're doing. Because again, everybody's the same. So everyone's got to start somewhere. Don't start with customers, I tell them. Learn, take trees, plants, go outside and learn how to take a good photo. And it's hard to get people to practice for boudoir. I get it.
Take some classes.
Learn first. Yeah. You'll increase your percentage chance of success enormously rather than not knowing what you're doing. And I will figure it out as I go along, which is never a good thing to do. But that's like a little bit. Here's
the other thing that I look at with that is I take what I do very, very seriously because I hold the power as a boudoir photographer especially to either make someone feel like the most absolute gorgeous babe or gorgeous dude or whatever, like, stellar couple, like, or if I do my job incorrectly, which luckily I've never done before, I could crush them. Like, I could crush someone's confidence and make them just, I never want anybody to experience that. And that's the one thing I really say to a lot of new really new photographers who are thinking about getting into this. I say, you can't mess with people's confidence like that. You just don't, until you know what you're doing, don't do that.
Don't do it.
You could hurt, even, like, I would feel guilty as hell if I ever did that to somebody. I could not live with myself knowing that somebody wasn't leaving the studio feeling incredible versus just crushed like that.
And I would see that all the time. Talk about we're streaming to like Instagram, and I would see that all the time. You see people and they write these captions like, "She rocked it," and the photos are terrible. And like you could look at and know that someone knows what they're doing or not. And I always think, I feel bad for that person because she did rock it and the picture's bad. And, I'm thinking, why I wouldn't be showing that to anybody, that picture.
Well, I think back to the very, 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 very first boudoir client I ever had. It was done, kind of contrary to what, like I just said, right? But she basically was a portrait client of mine, and she asked me to do this boudoir session. Yep. She had a really good time in the portrait session. I was like, all right, well, like, I no promises here, but like, let's do this. Images were good by today, like not by today's standards, but like little things like what hands were doing and feet aren't pointed, like stuff that I look at and I just cringe. Like, I'm like, oh my God, how did I not see that? But the fact is she loves them, and for some people, like maybe that budget photographer, you do love them. But I've had numbers of people come in and, like, whether it be a year or 5 years or 10 years after they've done that initial session, and then see the difference with what the investment is. They go, they totally get it, and they're like, spending the money is irrelevant at that point, because they just go, I understand the cost now. I get why you charge what you do, because you do what you do.
Right.
And
just
stick with experienced photographers.
And you can't tell necessarily by looking at someone's website. That could be up there for a day. It could be up there for 10 years. Sometimes it's hard to tell. And the only way you're going to find out, if looking at, like Trevor mentioned, photos, but you have to ask, look at reviews. You have to look at, or if it's on Instagram, how long does that scroll go back? Is it going back only 2 weeks? It's probably not a good sign. It goes back years.
Because I had to nuke all of mine because Instagram was pissing me off.
Well, now I have to delete all my photos because they all get flagged. Now Instagram has deemed women's bodies as like offensive, so you have to, everything is like restrict. So I mean, but in a sense of like a history of photos there, just make sure and then ask. The other thing, tell people, talk. No one wants to talk to anybody anymore. But how long have you been doing this? Tell me a bit about your experience. How many women have you worked with? You know, so you have to find out. It's not always obvious. Ask the questions. So that way you're protecting yourself a little bit.
Definitely look at those Google reviews too. I think that's not Yelp. Don't worry about Yelp. Yelp's a terrible company. I actually have no problem saying that. Actually, no.
Oh, good for you. There it is.
Yeah, I'm 100% solid in that statement. But Google reviews, pretty good, pretty solid place to look. And then just and the more than anything, I think the one thing we haven't even really talked about when it comes to booking a photographer, does their style vibe with you? Right?
Right, exactly.
Because I shoot darker, my color palette is bold. It's like you will virtually never see a white anything.
You're the opposite of me. You're the opposite. Yeah.
And that's why I love it, because you can have 10 photographers in a room shooting the same person. If given individual time with each person, you will get 10 completely different results. And that's why you can't take this thing and equate them.
Right.
You have to, and like, you know, just don't try to think like, oh, I'm going to hire a photographer and I'm going to send them a mood board and they're just going to make all 12 pictures in this mood board, which are from 12 different shoots. Completely different light setups and different people and different everything. And they're just going to make this happen. That's not the way to do this. My advice to somebody is look at the photographer's body of work. If you look at it and you go, that photographer, I like it, but it's you know, and I'll speak in terms of me, like, you know, that one's very bright. I'm not really the bright, airy thing. I don't care about angel wings. I like that one that's more dark and edgy and, you know, they like the messaging on the site is like is like this and that. And you know, you could have somebody who totally vibes with the angel wings. Like, I don't have a pair of angel wings in my studio. I never will. They're not for me, and they're not for my customers, and that's okay. You know, like, but just vibe with your photographer's aesthetic, because you'll be happier in the end. And even if that aesthetic might cost you more, trust me, that will give you like so much more joy in the final product, because you picked the right thing. It's like It's like picking a car, sort of. Like, you know, like you could get something with 4 wheels, but one, you know, just fits you better and has like air conditioned seats, and the other one's like, you know, stick shift and, you know, you hear every rattle in it. You know, like there's difference. And I mean, both get you from A to B, but you know,
might as well be happy when you're doing it. Yeah. And see, you're a good seguer, because this brings us into our last question. And I run into this a lot, is that, you know, wrong question. There we go. That's what we had before. You know, people who, like, I know everything about booking sessions. You know, I was online. I saw some stuff. I don't really need a consultation or to talk to the photographer. Do I? You know, no one wants to talk to anybody. Which is really, and as you were talking about, it has styles and so forth, and talk to the person, because like you said, I may want angel wings and have this whole idea in your head going into book with somebody and get there and find out no angel wings, or that's not what I do. And by that point, it's too late.
Yeah. So you know, it's so important to just talk to people. I try to get every single person who inquires on the phone, although that's sometimes like herding cats. Because like you inquire and you say like, I really want to do this for me, and you know, they send a little thing in the comment, and you know, like, it's like this, yeah, this is exactly what you want to do, and then you're like just trying to reach out to them through text and voicemails, and you hear nothing back, and you're like,
and from experience on my end, and now I realize that not everybody wants to, and I will have plenty of automated emails that go out nevertheless, just to get this information to the people. But how many times have I had people show up unprepared? oh, I didn't know I needed this, or oh, I didn't know I needed that, and they're just didn't bring along everything they needed or wanted to, which is something
that never happens with me. That pre-shoot wardrobe call, best thing ever.
And you know, to try, but for the people who no, I don't need to talk to you. I don't need any. I got everything. There's always something that I had one.
Yeah, if I get this, actually, I don't want to sound like a condescending jackass, but if I get the sense with this, I will actually refund. But like with that, I will refund their session deposit, even though it's technically a non-refundable thing. I just say like, listen, we are not going to be a good fit together. We're not doing it. Like, I don't want to say like you have to play by my rules, but my rules are here to help you. So I'm kind of a dick about it.
But people, like my worst.
It's good. It's good that I'm like that.
Yeah, I think my worst example. I'm trying to think of my worst example is a couple of years ago, and I'm in New Jersey. There was a woman that was actually flying in from Ohio. She found me. I don't know how. She booked the session and all the information. Tried to get her. I think she was a nurse. I'm busy. I can't talk. And went silent. Like a couple days before the session. Get to the building, and there was the makeup artist, and we're waiting, and I'm like, I couldn't get text, no response. And then the woman shows up, and she has like the smallest, tiniest, like those little luggage suitcases with the little handle. It was the smallest one. It was like the size of a lunchbox, like a kid's lunchbox with a long handle. And she comes inside and start to do makeup and everything like that. And all right, let's see what you brought, and we'll go into the room. And she opens up the tiny little suitcase, and there's like one sweater in there. That's what she brought, like a button down.
It's lunchbox size, like lingerie doesn't.
You would think.
So
one sweater, and aside from the clothes on her back, which was like some kind of a work shirt that said like nurse's rule from whatever her hospital was. So you traveled like 500 miles or whatever on a plane, knowing you were coming to do this months ahead of time. I tried reaching you however many times and emails and you show up with a sweater. We made it work, because hey, we're there. I'm going to get through this. It's one of my situations. You're like, all right, well, figure this out somehow.
Challenge
but,
me.
Always talk to your photographer. They'll be happy to talk to you. Even if I know, and what I'll hear sometimes, oh, it's a secret. My boyfriend will hear me, or my husband will hear me, or whoever I'm with will hear me. I don't want to ruin the surprise. I get it, but you can always
talk to me in the car.
Right, you're in a car, or somewhere, even texting to get sometimes we sneak on FaceTime or something like that, just to go over and make sure everyone's on the same level. They're bringing what they need. So, and again, for experience. So talk to your photographer. Take the time.
That's a good mark of what a good photographer is.
Yeah, and don't think
There's actually one good question I've gotten this
go ahead
chat of mine, but I'll get to that in just a second.
Okay.
The more your photographer is willing to talk to you, I think that's also a good cue.
Sign, yeah.
Yeah, this person probably does care about the experience and me, so use that. Now somebody here, Wayne Koof, basically, what's the toughest thing doing boudoir, and how does someone gain the confidence doing a shoot so that they if they don't get timid on set? I don't let my clients get timid or anything because I'm giving them all the direction in the world. Yeah. This is a big one which we sort of glossed over. Right? We hit it sort of adjacently, but this is a big one that goes into the experience. But see if they have behind the scenes videos of them working. Because I give tons of direction. I will act out poses all the time. I will show people exactly what they need to do, and they just need to play along.
So they're getting a show as well as a boudoir session from you.
Yeah.
There you go.
If I can do it, you can do it better. Because you're dressed for the occasion. Like you're the one wearing heels, for example. So we'll make that happen. But yeah, it's I've all of my clients, almost bar none, will say they'll say something to the effect when we're on that initial call of, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to pose in front of a camera. I can't even take a selfie. Some mixed flavor of that, and then they end up, if they allow permission, they end up on my website and they're going on about like people go, oh my God, I want to be just like her because she looks so confident, she looks so beautiful, she looks so whatever. But like the reality is people don't realize that a good photographer that has some experience can make this so easy.
Right.
Like it's like I've had so many people come through the studio who've done this with other people, like mostly models sometimes, but like they're just like, you're just hands down the best director ever. And that's something I really pride myself on, is making this whole process from like starting that initial conversation to getting your product in the mail, like make that easy. That's the experience. That's what you pay for. I make this easy for you. I am the easy button.
Yeah, and I think most women are anxious or nervous. It's natural. And you're exactly right. I mean, I think those fears are short-lived. It's people get in, and once they realize it's nothing really to be afraid of, it doesn't last very long. And I like keeping people on edge a little bit, keep a little bit of a thrill at first. But yeah, and you're right. It has to do. Photographer will be a calming force. You'll see that it's fun. It's a lot going on, participation, like you said. And see, I'm very bossy. You wouldn't think of it. I always tell people I am ultra bossy when we get in. They're good. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm glad someone can tell me what to do, but in a fun way, And you're a host. You're entertaining, like you said, as well as not just sitting there. Okay, move. Take a picture. Okay, move. You have to be this host and guide people through this without making it seem like it's work on their part, or that you're doing work. Make it a fun experience, which takes a lot of going through and doing this hundreds of times.
You play some music. You get the grooves going. Because that's the one thing I can't do. I can't shoot in a quiet studio. Yeah. When I have to record actual audio of me behind the scenes talking and I have to turn the music off, that weirds me out. So I like having that kind of thing. Makes it easy for people
me too.
And I think one of the other little things, like I can speak for myself, is like we're not just shot, go to the next shot, go to the next shot, go to the next shot. We actually are having a conversation as we go, and sometimes I literally am holding the camera at my side and we're talking for 2 minutes, and that just helps bring down that anxiety level and mellows people out. And then we laugh about something, and then it's like, oh, let's do this, and then it just after 10-15 minutes, like that conversation,
and you can see that change. You can see the change in there suddenly. Yeah, this is okay.
And the images, you know exactly when that person went, "Yep, I'm here and I'm having fun."
Right. So, and it's just normal to be natural, and it's just fear of the unknown there. But it really is a good time. Go in, and those nerves are short-lived, and you'll wind up having a great time after that. So. Good question by the viewers, and we got to wrap up soon because I think Instagram kicks you off after an hour. Believe it or not, we're at 52 minutes.
53 almost.
Oh, there you go. So
yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Are we going to do advantage of pre-shoot consults, or are we going to wrap it?
Well, that was our question, and that was sort of the fact afterward. So do I need to do it and then take advantage of it?
I think we talked a little bit about this. So.
We got that.
Yeah, that's a big part of getting ready. Yeah, and follow me.
Yeah,
provocateur images.
There you are. So there you are. And my little crop thing, your name. I just realized your name, and my name isn't on there either. And we go into these crop layout on here for some reason. It cuts out the person's name on the bottom.
Close now. It's just you.
And
then now I'm back.
Sort of back. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're in.
Well, your name wasn't my name, and your name was on the bottom, but. I'll work that out in the future. But we did it. Made it through.
Yeah, so what's your Instagram? I gotta fire that into my little live chat here.
Mine is just my name, Michael Cassidy. So it's a little show that we do. Answer questions. This goes to YouTube. We're streaming on Instagram. This is something I'm going to be doing hopefully every 2 weeks or so. Be back to questions that come in. And
Lives
seems
so
obvious, but seems like these things are obvious, but they're not. I found through a lot of, so if it could be helpful, I'm all for helping people have a good experience, and I know you are as well.
Yeah.
So you did it. Two people who really don't have much to say.
I still can't believe that was an hour.
I know, like I said, we start talking and it's just like before you know it, it's like, you know, don't need a lot of notes.
You put a bunch of boudoir photographers together in a room at like a conference or something, and we just chat, and it's like, oh, it's 4 a.m. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it just keeps on going. And then the point being, too, there's a lot, this could go on and on. You break it down into small chunks and answer a few questions, and you'd be surprised the questions I get and things that you would never even think about. So looking forward to going on and answering a few questions every now and again. Hope it was helpful. Thanks, Trevor, for coming on. My name is Michael. Thanks for coming on. I haven't seen you in a while, even though my name...
It's been a bit.
Yeah, I know. I got very busy. Stuff going on. I couldn't do my show as much as I like to. So hopefully I'm going to try to force some time to do this because I enjoy getting on and talking about this stuff. And, you know, I think it's
easier when you do it live, too, because you literally just start, stop, post, done.
No editing. Yeah, it just goes right up there.
Where there's all this editing and stuff.
So me just rambling, I can't cut out the rambles. It just goes on and on.
Rambling is what makes this fun.
Yeah. We did it.
Yeah, we did it.
All right. So I'm going to say bye to everybody.
I guess we're going to wrap it up. And
we're going to wrap it up and end this stream.
Wonderful people.
It was a success. Thanks for everybody who was tuned in and watched live. But this is also available. It'll be on YouTube to review. It lives on there in perpetuity, so people will get to see these if they didn't catch it live. And thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of here because I'm hungry. I need dinner. Trevor just got home. He's hangry. Needs something to eat. And we'll catch you next time. So thanks, everybody. And see ya. Stay safe.